book is Artisan Vegan Cheese.
How do you have that? How can that be vegan cheese?
Right. How can it be? Well, so this past week I was on Facebook, and a good friend of mine, Bill Daly, who is the food editor for the Chicago Tribune, had a little Facebook post. He said, I just tried the best brie vegan cheese, was highly skeptical, but blown away.
And then you said, how can that be vegan cheese?
And Bill, if you know Bill, he's all about the decadence, and so I thought, well, that's kind of cool. I'm going to, I want to check this out because I'm actually trying being vegan right now. So I looked it up, and the author is from California. So I'm like, all right, dead ringer, here we go.
Yeah.
And then I contacted Miyoko, and she said, sure, I'll be on the show. And so that is who we have right now. And you know what? I apologize. I don't have the call screener window up. And so I'm going to have it's Schinner. Great. Author Miyoko Schinner joins us right now from, I believe, Marin County. Is that right, Miyoko?
That's correct, Randall. Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you. Is it San Anselmo? Is that where you are?
That is exactly where I am.
My grandfather was the fire commissioner of San Anselmo, and my father grew up there. So
is that right?
Yeah.
Small world.
That's why I just thought I'd throw that out.
Okay. Yeah, there are lots of families here that just go back generations.
Miyoko, you have been vegetarian for 40 years, vegan for 20. Anyone watching online right now can see you're just absolutely gorgeous. It's clearly doing something right for you.
Yes.
I don't know about that, Thank you.
But you'd been playing around with the idea of vegan cheeses for years, and then finally hit on a number of recipes that are now this book.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, I've been playing around with them for a long time. I was a complete cheesehead years ago when I was a lacto-ovo vegetarian. And when I moved back to Japan in the 1980s, which is where I am originally from, I couldn't find cheese, and I literally went berserk, because I was just exotic. I was used to having exotic cheeses all the time, all the bries and the camemberts and the Limburgers and the Tillagio. The stinkier the better was my rule. Really. So. And when I first became vegan, when I realized that, all this dairy that I was consuming, even though I was a vegetarian, wasn't any better for me than, eating just a bunch of junk food, it was really hard. I just went through withdrawal.
Yeah. I can imagine because my friend Kira Clapper and I have an expression that we share that we love cheese so much we could bathe in it.
Yeah, I hear you. And and it, there really is something in cheese that is addictive, and it's not just the flavor and the richness and the fat, but there's actually something called casomorphine. Oh. And I'm not making that word up, but it's really an opiate. It's an opiate that's in all dairy products, and it's there just to calm down babies.
Wow.
Oh, so that hot milk, there's something to that hot milk thing then, huh?
Yeah, there really is. I mean, and it's, because it's meant for infants to calm them down. That's why babies fall asleep at the breast. And it's in your mom, it was in your mom's milk, and it's in cow's milk, and because it's really not meant to be consumed beyond infancy.
Right. So so probably the number one question you get is vegan cheese. How can you possibly do it without the dairy? And what's your just easy answer to that?
Oh, the easy answer is basically cheese is just cultured and aged milk. So you can make milk out of any other, lots of other things, plant-based nut milks or soy milk or whatever, and you just have to culture it and age it, just like dairy milk. There's a few tweaks that you have to do to make it, hard or to take on form, but it works.
So does the end product, is it then comparable to a cheese that you would make with a dairy product? It's just hard for me to just, get
I know,
that.
Especially because there's so many bad vegan cheeses on the market. I mean, most of the stuff that's on the market is just inedible in my book. But, they passed the omnivore test. I basically started making vegan cheeses and serving them at my husband's a lawyer, and, every year I cater his holiday parties, and I served them up to other lawyers and his clients, and, they're all omnivores, and I didn't say anything, no fanfare, not, this is vegan cheese or anything, and people just ate them up and thought, one person asked me, wow, this is a really fine, I love the cheese with peppercorns. Did you get it from that dairy in Marin? It's like, so that's when I knew I was onto something. So
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
She put her pinky to her mouth and like Dr. Evil, yes.
Yes.
Because if you tell people ahead of time this is vegan cheese, their taste buds do about face, and they don't really sample it the way they should.
Well, that's why it's kind of intriguing that your friend, was it Bill Daly?
Mm-hmm.
Did he know it was vegan when he tried the brie? Or
I haven't asked him if that. Yeah.
But he was a believer.
He was a total believer, so much so that he posted it on Facebook.
That's incredible. Yeah. So I mean, that's been my experience with my cheeses. Is I serve them up to people, and they're skeptical at first if they know about it, or if they don't know about it, they just chomp it down.
So whether you're making vegan cheese or any kind of cheese, to me, and I like to cook and I take on some complicated projects, but I haven't ever tried making cheese. It seems, I don't know, like it would be hard to do.
Like the start date is here and the
yeah.
end date is months away. And
Exactly.
I think
it's true. Or it can be a few days, depending on whether you're making a fresh cheese or one that's a hard aged cheese, which does take months. But there is a learning curve, and it requires the most important ingredient is patience.
Oh,
and if you don't have,
no wonder
it,
we haven't made it, Patty.
Yeah,
that's why. That is it in one word.
Yeah.
Miyoko, one of the things I noticed in your book is that once you get down a couple of the key ingredients that seem to be used in many of the cheeses, and you recommend that those are homemade as well, if you sort of get that down, then the rest of the process is pretty easy.
I think it is. The actual hands-on time is really minimal. It's just minutes for each cheese. But you have to, there are multiple steps. You have to, after you mix the ingredients, you have to culture it at room temperature, and then you have to maybe brine it or salt it and air dry it, and there's all this stuff you have to do. And so there are multiple steps, and there is that waiting time, which is really what is the hardest for people. And then you have to taste it because everyone's house is different, and we're not making these in controlled environments, and so you have to really taste your product as you go along to see, well, has it cultured long enough? Is it sharp enough? Is it tangy enough? Does it, has it developed the full flavor before you move on to the next step? And a lot of people don't want to do that. They want a clear-cut recipe. You culture it for exactly 12 hours and then you move on to, and it's not that way.
Sometimes experimentation is a little intimidating.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
Well,
but it's really easy. So
of all the cheeses yes, and you experimented for a long time. Of all the cheeses in your book, is there one that seems to be a standout that really just tricks people all the time, or whether it tricks them or not, people say this is the best tasting one that I've had?
Yeah, well, there's a basic cashew chev in there that people just say is just spot on like goat cheese. And the brie is definitely, a dead ringer. Well, I wouldn't say it doesn't have quite that gooey texture, but that brie does, if you know what I mean.
Right.
But it's pretty close. It's really creamy and luscious, and it satisfies that craving.
I want to try your Monterey Jack because I could eat specifically pepper jack in my case. I could eat pepper jack morning, noon, and night. I love pepper jack,
good.
and I haven't had it. Well, actually, I did have it this week because I bought a vegan version at one of our local stores here. It was made with almonds, and I try to stay away from too much soy. And so it's really good. It tasted like cheese, and this is an industrial one, So I'm thinking if they can do it on that level industrially,
you should be able to do it.
At home, I can probably make a better one.
Now, Miyoko, Anthony, our producer here, wants to know, how about a buffalo mozzarella? Is there a vegan version of that?
Oh, my gosh. Is there a vegan version of buffalo mozzarella? I've got one. I'll tell you. I'll be really honest. There's actually 2 recipes for buffalo mozzarella in the book. One that melts for pizza, which is really fantastic. And then there's one that's for caprese salad. But, I'm constantly experimenting, and after I finished the manuscript and the book was already at the printer, I developed another recipe for buffalo mozzarella that I think is superior to the one that I published in the book. And that one was actually published in Veg News magazine last fall.
Can we share that one also? Can you send it to me and we can put it on the website?
I can send you, and then since then I've developed an easier recipe for buffalo mozzarella.
Oh, good.
I teach all the time, so I'd be happy to email that recipe.
Easier
think
equals
that
better.
Anthony has gone into a food stupor over here.
I know, Anthony's over there making noises that aren't ready for radio.
We can't put him on.
Miyoko Schinner, she's the author of Artisan Vegan Cheese, Patty.
And you know what? If there's ever a poster face for being vegan, this stunningly beautiful woman right here would make anyone turn vegan. Whatever she's doing, it's working.
Isn't that true? It is so true. Miyoko, thank you for joining us today. My best to all your fellow San and Salmons.
Thank you. It's fun being on your show. Bye-bye.